The infamous racking of the slide on a shotgun is generally enough to drive off most intruders. If not, the result is usually multiple hot rounds of pellets. A lesson one needs to experience only once. Stop the Threat starts now. Hello and welcome to Stop the Threat. My name is James Towle. On this week's episode, we take you to a small town northeast of Houston, Texas called Atascocita for a home invasion which we've entitled, How Dare You? But before we begin, let me introduce you to this week's guests. Jeffrey Phipps. Jeffrey is a retired Air Force Master Sergeant and brings to the show his very important experience with 911. Mike Hurd. Mike has been in law enforcement since 1976, and he's also a firearms instructor and writes for a number of gun-related magazines. Jorge DeLeon. Jorge is a former police officer, and in his last 3 years as a police officer, he was assigned to the SRT area Special Reaction Team. Jorge is now a CHL NRA certified instructor. Welcome all. I'm going to start this off rather quickly because I have an email from Carl in Ohio, and thank you, Carl, for sending this email because I think we really need to discuss this. He describes an incident at a fast food restaurant where an argument has ensued between a customer and the manager. And before it's over, 5 of his friends are battling with the employees. One of the employees being a young lady who is being beaten as she's calling 911. So Carl's question is rather simple. He's asked, as a responsible CCW permit holder, he's speaking, could I have come to the aid of the employees? Jorge?
In my opinion, I will say yeah. I mean, nobody's obligated to do nothing, especially CCWs. But you're talking about, a female. She's trying to call 911, and if you feel that is your responsibility, definitely, yeah.
What concerns me is the fact that he, and Carl, I thank you for phrasing your question, but it brings up the subject since you have said you're a CCW permit holder, you're implying that you want to deploy your weapon. That's what I read from your question. Is that necessary?
It depends on the situation. You may not need to bring your firearm into play. You're putting yourself in a 5-on-1 situation. You need to think about that before you just jump in.
There's no guns been displayed, okay? Right. There are 5 people brawling in the restaurant. One of them in particular is banging away on a young lady. That's going to upset any man, okay? We're not happy with that. Although there is no weapons deployed, does he have a right to deploy his weapon to defend that young lady?
The numbers seem to support that. So many people against this particular lady. Yeah, I mean, the numbers are against her like that. Now, inserting yourself into such an event could have some consequences, so you may ought to rethink about that just a little bit.
Yeah, because as we get through that, Jorge, okay, now let's play that out. Once you draw a weapon, your options are over, aren't they?
Well, actually,
you're actually going to. What do you have left?
You have only 2 options, or 2 outcomes of it. Either you fulfill your purpose, and they might get scared away and leave the lady alone, or they might think that you're bluffing, and that could escalate the situation. So you have to think about what you're going to do and what are the outcomes of what you're doing.
If you bring the gun into play, now you have, as Jorge said, you have limited your options. You can't talk to them anymore unless you can speak to them, but if they say you're bluffing, you only have one option now. You have painted yourself into a corner and you're gonna have to shoot somebody.
Right, Mike, I'm a little concerned here. I'm gonna take the conservative side of this. Once the gun is deployed, I now have the gun out. Chances are, if I'm not well trained, if I'm nervous, if I'm under pressure, my finger may be on the trigger even. Okay, that really concerns me because suppose you just gave the guy a body block. Don't even pull the gun out. Okay? I mean, it's not like he's stabbing her. It's a fist thing. Okay, I'm not saying that that's nice or good, but it's less than stabbing and it's less than breaking off a chair leg. I mean, the fact that when the gun comes out, you're almost into shooting somebody.
I don't agree 100% because a guy or two guys against one or three, they can kill them.
That's true. Okay, hold that thought. We'll be right back with more comments. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. Before we left, we were discussing an email question, and it immediately makes me think of Mike's monthly article that he writes every month that I read. He starts it out the same way every month. Tell us one more time.
The only reason you're justified in using deadly force is if you believe you didn't use that deadly force at that moment in time, you or another innocent person could have been severely injured or killed. That's the basis of it.
And that's perfect. And it doesn't completely answer your question, Carl, but I will have a little more time after we watch part 1 right now.
I wonder how long before someone calls the cops about the car.
No one was home. Probably at least a couple of hours. Plenty of time.
So, this one?
Yeah, still looks quiet. Come on.
It's worth a try. Let me try.
Someone's trying to break into my house. Yes, I live it.
Make it seem easier in movies. Maybe there's a hidden key.
Thank you. Tell the officer to hurry. They're still at the door.
Hey, good idea. Let me see that.
Okay, I mean, there are so many ways we can go here. Let's start with the obvious first. There's not that many incidents where it's the perpetrators are all women. I think it may be a growing concern, but we don't have many reenactments that involve two women being quite so aggressive. Now, I did notice in the car as they were coming that they had stole that car. So my first question would be, do you think they stole the car to have the home invasion, or is it just like an evolving crime spree? What was your feeling?
That's what I understood. For what I saw in the reenactment, it sounded like they stole the car and they were worried about how long it's going to take them for the police to catch them.
Right, so the intention was to go do something else, and it happens to be a home invasion.
Steal the car, go do the crime, dump the car, and nobody's ever the wiser.
It sounded like they had this already pre-planned because they were discussing what they were going to do. It just didn't seem like an impulsive thing to me.
Right. I'm going to give some credit to the homeowner. He went to 911 a lot quicker than I expected him to. I mean, normally I think people would get up and go look at the door, and all that time is being wasted. He went right to 911 because, in fact, can you waste 911's time?
You can, and I like that he went straight with what was going on. Always lead with the crime, not with the peripherals. Someone's trying to break into my house. That lets the dispatcher know right away. There's a crime in progress. It's not a fire or EMS situation yet, and we're going to put you with a police dispatcher.
And what I was trying to imply was call 911 because you're not going to waste their time.
Right.
I mean, you're going to call them as soon as you can, the better, get the crime out front. I mean, you're not wasting their time. You're not wasting the time of the law enforcement either. They're happy to come out if you're not comfortable.
It is
right
much
or wrong?
easier. It is much easier
You're
to
right.
cancel than to not dispatch and waste that time.
I'm glad he went right to 911, but he did hesitate quite a bit before he armed himself. Yeah. If that had been a determined and capable home invader, then he might could have gotten to him pretty quickly. I would have called 911 and then immediately proceeded to arm myself.
Okay, yeah, I like that. All
Yeah,
right.
I will say the same. There's no wasting 911 call when you're in some kind of emergency, but definitely took him too long just sitting down there in the cell phone with 911. We can say that he was lucky that the door was really strong and the two females couldn't break it right away, but what happened if they could get access faster than what they're going through right now?
Yeah, they were pretty confident when they came to that door. They were going to get in one way or another. When we come back, I'm going to show you part 2 after we answer a few more questions. Don't go away. Welcome back, viewers. We've seen part 1 of How Dare You, and we've watched 2 female perpetrators press their way into the door. We have a homeowner who's made a call to 911, and he's prepared for what's going to happen next. I could say a lot more, we could all say a lot more, but let's watch part 2.
I just called about 2 people trying to break into my house. They just broke the window next to the door with rocks. I have my shotgun. What are you doing in my house? What are you doing breaking into my house? That's what you get. Get out of here. They got into the house. I shot them. Sent an ambulance.
Oh boy, I don't know where to begin on this, honestly. I mean, off camera we were actually discussing the fact, and I'm jumping way ahead to go after that one, but were we setting up for an ambush or were we defending ourselves?
Back to my statement, the only reason you're justified in using that deadly force if you believe it wasn't necessary at that moment in time.
Right.
Obviously, these people were not armed. They stopped. One of them ran away, and yet he went ahead and pressed the trigger on the one and pursued the other one down the street. I just think he could be in a little bit of hot water, both civilly and criminally.
All right, let me just, and I'll bet viewers you've heard me say this on every show. Where is voice intimidation? I mean, what could I have done with that shotgun if I had said, stop, I'm armed, I'm going to shoot you if you come another step?
Well, actually, if you notice, kind of like that happened. He said, what are you doing in my house? They stopped. They didn't.
Right, and then bang.
But then he shot him.
So
Yeah, I'm not comfortable with stop, bang.
Exactly.
I'm more comfortable with stop, I'm armed, I will shoot you.
The 911 operator should have said, stay on the line with me. He should never have hung up the phone to go get the shotgun. He's on a cell phone. Carry your phone with you to get the gun. And tell the
it's kind of hard to manipulate the shotgun
But
and the phone, though. I can see some problems
You can carry it
there.
back, but the dispatcher would be trying to get more information from you while this is developing. When he hangs up, now there's this black
Yeah, I don't like hanging
hole.
up. But there's nothing wrong with laying the phone down open.
No,
nothing at all.
There's nothing. What I will say that he could do a lot better, and this is very important, is they have to watch what they say. Everything on 911 is getting recorded.
Right.
I don't think it's a good idea. I'm not saying that it's wrong, but I don't think it's a good idea to say, they got into the house, I have a shotgun or any kind of weapon.
Yeah.
Send the police and whatever you have to do, and let's deal with this. And also, going outside and yelling, that's what you get.
That's what what you get.
You're sounding more like an executioner, you know, and you have to be careful.
I'm never happy about going hunting.
No.
Okay? This is not a hunting situation.
The second time he did leave the phone open, which was to his credit.
Yeah.
But right, that's exactly the term I use. You should not go hunting.
Once he shot the first one and the other one ran out, once he passed the threshold of the door,
He's hunting.
now he's got a bad guy behind him. Is she armed?
Right.
Did she just
Yeah,
not have a
that's a good
chance to get her
point.
gun
That's a
out?
good point. We
and
don't
now
know that she was
now
down.
you've come past. And when he came back in, he didn't look to see if she was still down. He just walked right back to the phone and said, "I shot her."
Right. I can't say for sure that actually took place that way. I mean, there was obviously no attention to the female who was down that took the first shot.
Right.
That we know that he did not try to render aid or anything like. He went right back to 911. So it fell together, something like
And
that.
it could
You're
be-
probably
it
not
could
far
be
off.
theatrical
He
ones.
didn't pay a lot of attention to the first one that was
Right.
down.
We cannot tell that happened that way, but if it would happen that way, yeah, that's kind of dangerous. I mean, we're talking about a shotgun at that short distance. You will imagine that person is dead, but that cannot be guaranteed.
Yeah, I think viewers, if I were to say anything here, I would say whatever you do may end up in court. So I would get as much going on my side as I could. I'd have the 911 phone open so that they have an audio, at least an audio of what took place. And if I'm now outside the house, I'm still voice intimidation before I'm pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
Because I want the neighbors to hear me, "What were you doing in my home?" But you don't have to pull the trigger.
No.
That's the part that I have the problem with.
The threat was over.
The threat was over, exactly what you say in your article. So,
Well, think also that being outside with the shotgun shooting when you are in a subdivision
Yeah,
like
you're
that,
right.
we have so many houses, is dangerous. So no, yeah, there was no necessity for pressing the trigger at that moment.
okay, I can see, Jeff, you got it. What?
The 911 call. I go back to the 911 call. Every child in America is programmed to dial 911 and what to say.
And when we come back, I'll give you more time to do that. Don't go away, folks. We're going to get some 911 information. See you in a minute. Welcome back, viewers. What would appear to be in the beginning a simple home invasion by two female perpetrators ends up being a little more problematic as it evolves. So I want to go back to, since we only have a short period of time, I want to go back to the 911 call because we have an expert among us. So tell us about the 911 call.
Children are programmed what to say when they call 911. Adults a lot of times waste the dispatcher's time trying to tell the story before the call taker is ready for the information. They have a script that they go off of, and the best thing you can do when you call 911 is lead with the crime and then close your mouth and listen to the dispatcher. Listen to the call taker. They're going to ask you the questions that they need to know.
That they're going to pass along to law
Yes, that they're
enforcement,
gonna
who's
get
rolling
to
on
the-
this based upon the information that they received from the homeowner in this particular case. So under stress, and I don't know that he actually displayed a lot of stress, but there was some stress. I think in many cases there's going to be more stress. Then what he's saying to 911 could be a little
Superfluous
right.
is a good word for it.
Right. So now you're the officer rolling on the call. What information do you have when you get there?
Well, so far what I heard was, there's two females breaking into my house, and I have a shotgun.
And maybe
That-
911 reported, I heard him fire.
Yeah.
So you would now know that there's gunshots have been fired. So now you're rolling on gunshots have been fired in a home invasion. Okay, so you tumble out of the car now, and you've got one female laying in the street, and you don't see anything at the house. What are you going to do?
Well, the first thing as a police officer, if I'm by myself over there, I'm gonna wait for backup. I know there's already shots fired. I'm not gonna be.
Because you can't see anything but one
Exactly,
person
you
down.
cannot
And
see
you don't
anything.
even know who that one person is, right?
That's right.
So-
You don't know what you're facing, and you shouldn't John Wayne it and just drive,
Exactly.
fly in there.
Okay, I'm the homeowner. I'm the one that pulled the trigger. I'm the one that went hunting. Where should I be when law enforcement arrives?
Where? It depends on the situation. I will definitely tell you, you better not be with the shotgun in your hands, especially going out to meet the police. Okay, there's nothing wrong when you're, doing everything legal to have a firearm, whatever it is, in your hands. But when you see the police getting close to you, it's advisable to holster that gun or the shotgun, take it away.
I got that. Suppose the female that took the first round is down, and suppose, because you mentioned it, that she happens to have a gun. Okay, maybe the gun's out, and I'm inside the house, and now I'm faced with, she's on the ground, there's a gun out, and law enforcement would like to see me put my gun away. I'm problematic with that. I don't want to put my gun away. The officer's coming through the door. What am I going to do? I'm going to announce to that officer that she's armed.
She has a gun.
Okay, let's inform you coming through the door what's going on, and then I'm going to put my gun away. Well, okay, so there'll be some moments of problem there.
Yeah, definitely. And you have to try to give as much information as you can to the 911 operator or the police
or
officer
the law enforcement on
when
the
they
scene.
get there.
Listen, folks, I really appreciate you tuning in this week. I know you have a lot of choices in the evening. Thank you for choosing Stop the Threat. See me on social media, and I'll see you again next week. Thank you for tuning in. Be safe, be trained, be alert.